Hello and welcome to everyone across the nation joining today's workshop on how to generate basic reports using TOPS Pro Enterprise. This workshop actually is an introduction to generating reports and focuses on selecting reports, defining specific settings, and filtering data for output. Agencies primarily using the online system for web-based testing have access to basic reports, whereas a TOPS Pro Enterprise license is required for what we call enhanced access to all reports. Not all users have access to TOPS Pro Enterprise. It is the TE Enhanced or ET Basic user at your agency, or generally the data manager at your agency, who has rights to grant or deny access to TOPS Pro Enterprise. CASAS only provides coordinator and or proctor access to e-tests with authorization from the agency, and it is up to the local agency to decide who they will allow access to TOPS Pro Enterprise. Now, folks, as mentioned earlier, this is one of 23 complimentary online implementation workshops. We don't expect you to attend all 23 workshops. This is simply a training room set up to conduct all 23 workshops. We do highly recommend you and other staff to attend as many workshops as possible to learn about best practices, ask questions, and to become confident using the online system. Please don't hesitate to ask questions throughout the entire workshop. I will be doing my best to monitor the chat box, and I see we do have a question already. Will you cover deleting records? That's a good question, and yes, we will. Not in this workshop, DJ. We will do that on when we start exploring either students or tests or merging student records. Okay, but for right now, we're going to keep it to an introductory session on generating how to generate basic reports. Okay. Let's see, I want to be sure and always point out that we do have help available on our website under Training and Support. ET for eTest Help Documentation, TE is short for TOPS Pro Enterprise Help Documentation. Now I'm going to click in quickly to TE Help Documentation. Actually under TOPS Pro Enterprise here. Okay, TOPS Pro Enterprise, we have on our website, we have sample reports. So I will show you just 2 reports in this introductory session in tomorrow's workshop. Tomorrow is an hour, we're only holding one workshop tomorrow. It is an hour long, lasting from 11 to 12 Pacific time. And we'll go into an extended session on generating reports. So we will explore additional reports, how to drill down on reports, how to retrieve previously generated reports, and so forth. Today we're just doing the bare basics. Okay, but if you are interested in viewing samples of some reports that are available in Enterprise, then please visit our website under TOPS Pro Enterprise here. Okay, the CASAS eTest Online User Guide is a resource that you will definitely want to bookmark as your electronic go-to resource, as it contains information covered in these workshops. Today's workshop specifically will cover Section 10 in the CASAS eTest Online Guide titled Basic Reports. We are going to go through the report setup screen, view general settings, and the report toolbar. This all makes up, it's good to have a clear understanding of the structure of the report setup screen. Okay. We are not going to be using CASAS eTest in this workshop. This workshop actually is the transition into now using TOPS Pro Enterprise. As we progress through the remainder workshops in this set of online implementation workshops, I'll still be able to show you that parallel between both applications. However, those of you who participated in the last workshop, hopefully you understood that there are no reports available to generate, or I should specifically say no pre-formatted reports that you can generate through CASAS eTest Online. There is no reports menu. It's simply, eTest simply offers you lists of records that you can export out a list of records. Okay? All right. Now, we are going to use the simulation server, folks, and we are accessing TOPS Pro Enterprise online. When you first access TOPS Pro Enterprise, you will install a client on your local machine. Your client, it can be customizable on each individual, each local machine. So if you download a TOPS Pro Enterprise client on your workstation at your office, and then say from home you access TOPS Pro Enterprise and download the client on your home computer, any customizations that you have done in Enterprise, such as customize the lister, the view or the list of records. You saw in the last workshop, you saw me customizing the students lister as well as the tests lister. That customization will not be present on your home computer because the client retains that customization only on this a specific machine. Okay, so I hope I'm clear about that. It's a pretty minor thing. So, but when you first install the client, you will have an icon placed on your desktop. You can either access Enterprise through this icon, access Enterprise through your web browser here, or I routinely put the Enterprise icon in my system tray here at the very bottom of my screen because I have so many screens open throughout my workday that I find it very efficient to simply just click here to access TOPS Pro Enterprise. Okay. Now, I forgot to point out, for those of you who were in the last workshop, we looked at the TE icon. I referenced help content available without even logging in. I forgot to reference the view menu. By default, the view is set to normal, and apologize to you folks if you were straining your eyes in the last workshop just to see my screen. So for your viewing preference, I'm going to increase the screen display so that it makes it easier for your viewing on your end. But by default, the default setting is normal. Okay, so you can increase the screen display before you log in as well as after you log in. You can adjust your screen display accordingly. Okay, we're accessing the simulation server among the production server as well as all of these other servers. We have a development server as well. So please be mindful of the server for which you are attempting to connect. Enter your agency ID, your unique credentials. Please do not share credentials. Each individual user should have their own dedicated login credentials because logs are kept of all activity of all logged on users in the online system, and it is for your safeguard to give us the opportunity should anything occur in your online database that you are asking us to investigate. We have a point of reference that we can go back to and inquire. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and we're going to go directly to the reports menu. And as you can see here, these are basic categories. I'm just going to simply mouse over some of these as I'm just touching on some of these reports. Okay, so there is a CASAS eTest menu to where you can retrieve a next assigned test report. Please be reminded that the online system is fully automated. It will automatically assign the next appropriate test after any type of testing. Now, you do have the option to override any test at any given time. So the next assigned test report is recommended to generate prior to conducting a post-testing session so that you can view that report and have the assurance that of what the student will be presented with when they next test. and then also help you identify any students for which you would prefer to override what the system has assigned. You can also retrieve a copy of the personal score report. For those of you who have been part of the workshop to demonstrate test administration, if you recall, there is an optional summary called a personal score report. It's an end test report that is optional whether you decide to display it or not to the student at the testing station. If you display it at the testing station and not allow the student to print, but you do find value in printing that report, you can do so from the TOPS Pro Enterprise. You can do it individually or as a group. And also, if you intended for the student to print the report, sometimes students will navigate away from that print screen and go on into the next test without having generated that personal score report. Well, don't panic. You can be logged in or connected to Enterprise at the same time you are connected to CASAS eTest Online with your same login credentials. And then you can print a personal score report directly from TOPS Pro Enterprise. The format is slightly different, but it provides the same identical information. Again, folks, we have samples of these reports on the CASAS website. And eTest administrations as well as WTU balance reports. These list information about the number of tests administered per month, per site, within and per program year. So you have a lot of options for monitoring tests that you have administered. We have a demographics area here, and you can see these are the type of reports retrievable from the demographics menu. Program outcomes, test results, and this is where I'm going to give my first demonstration. But before I do, I just simply want to reference consumer reports. This is for our adults with intellectual disabilities. Data management, so this is where your data managers will routinely monitor the integrity of your data and evaluate your data collection efforts. State reports, we have reports specific to California. If you are in a state and your state sees a need for a customized report specific to your state or several reports, CASAS will work with you to develop those type of reports. However, there is a fee associated with that. Okay. Federal reports for enhanced access. Agencies have access to NRS federal tables. Here again, to monitor the pulse of your organization and evaluate program outcomes, student outcomes, and see how your results are going to be reflected once you submit those to NRS. There are other menus here, and which I'm going to reserve for discussion in tomorrow's extended generating reports workshop. Okay, these are more utilities here. So let's go into the test results. My favorite report is the individual skills profile report. So I'm going to use this report to introduce you to the report setup screen. Now, whenever you select any report from the reports menu, you are presented with the report setup screen. This is also known as the report generator. It is the mostly generic reporting interface that allows you to set up complex filtering and sorting options for each report. Each report setup consists of two main sections. Now, just for a moment, I'm going to move this to the small. I know this is very small for you folks, but I'm doing this intentionally. There are really only two main sections in the report setup screen or the report generator. You have the navigator on the left. This is the report setup navigator. So this is one screen, or section, excuse me, and then you have the toolbar. Notice the toolbar across the top. So there are two main sections to the report setup generator, okay, the report setup screen. Using the reports, let me go ahead and increase this here. Using the report setup navigator, this allows you to define specific settings using general settings, as you see here displayed. So by default, this opens two general settings, and that is what is displaying here over on the right side of your screen. So don't be confused that this is the second screen of the report setup navigator. You always have the toolbar here that has more buttons. The more buttons simply means more. There's more buttons that there's no room to display along the top of your screen. Okay, so you have the report setup navigator, you have the toolbar, and then depending on your selection from the general settings screens, that will dictate what displays over to the right. So there are general settings associated with every report. Then from the report setup navigator, you can filter the initial population using these available listers, such as generating a report by a class, or generating a report for a teacher, or generating a report for specific tests or students. Okay. And now, actually, I'll just click on student demographics for just a moment here. So this simply brings up a list of students in your database. Here again, this is a students lister. You're looking at a list of students within the report setup or the report generator. Let's see, and the report selection here, now this doesn't do too much on this particular report, but you can choose which reports to display using the report selection. That is more applicable, I would say, to the federal tables report generator, because you don't, the federal tables report will generate all 12 federal tables plus a summary if you don't specify a specific report. And there are federal table 4 is one of the primary ones that you'll want to be referring to monitor your data. Okay, whereas some reports, it's just simply the one report. Okay, so let's go back up here to the general settings. All general settings screens start off with the session name. All sessions have a pre-configured title. Okay, when you, and I'm sorry, I keep saying okay, I apologize for that. All reports have a generic name. So this is individual skills profile. All dates will display, as well as the time and who generated the report, who the logged on user is. Notice I'm logged on as the administrator, and here it also confirms that I am the administrator logged on here. You can customize the title of this report. Let's say if I'm, and I will be generating this for a specific student. Actually, I'll keep the date. I don't necessarily need the time, but I'm going to generate this for a student. Her name is Erica Kim. Okay, so you can customize that before you generate the report. That's the term used in TOPS Pro Enterprise, is that you are generating, actually you are generating a reporting session, and that key term is going to come into play in just a moment. Now, all reports have common filters. You can specify the program year in common filters. By default, the current program year is selected. You can select prior program years or multiple program years. The individual skills profile report happens to default to students who have an ABE, ESL, high school diploma, or high school equivalency program enrollment. If students do not have a program enrollment, this report will not generate. So in this case, all students in your database must have a program enrollment. And this is why we recommend through CASAS e-tests at the time of testing to default to a specific program, or create your sessions per instructional program so that you can set the configuration to identify that instructional program. And then there is no room for error of not having a program enrollment for every student in your online database. Now you can, if you are an organization participating today that is more workforce readiness program or a career tech ed program or whatever the case may be, simply collect that program enrollment for students or manually add a program enrollment of that type and then select that, and then you can generate this report. But the point being is that students must have a program enrollment in order for the individual skills profile report to display. Now, date ranges, you can set a specific date range for each report. There are also specified date ranges if you want a, let's see, where's year to date? Here's year to date, which is your calendar year to date, or you have fiscal year, which is the entire fiscal year, or per quarter, and so forth. Okay, or specify a customized date range. Special let's see, output layout parameters, excuse me. These are specific per report. We'll explore those in just a moment. Special options. Most reports also contain special options, and here again, these are specific per report. Now, the initial population determined from general settings can be further refined using available listers, as mentioned over here in the report setup navigator. You can click on any lister from the navigator, and in this case I am going to click on student demographics to display the initial population, and then choose to select only a few records or use the available listers provided. So as mentioned earlier, I'm going to generate this specific for a student whose first name is Erica. I didn't take note of her ID, and so this is Erica. So I'm intending to generate this report for Erica Kim. Let's go back up to general settings here. Now, in the report setup toolbar along the top, you can specify the base container. You have so many options here, folks, that I'm just breezing through these quickly. You can review this information in more detail in section 10 in the CASAS EHS online guide. But you can specify a specific site, which once, if you select a specific site, that will have an impact on the listers that you access over here in the navigator. Because I did not specify a specific site, I kept it at the parent agency, then these listers displayed, in this case students, at all site locations, but you can contain it per site location from here. So it's almost like a pre-filtering before you get to these lists over here in the report setup navigator. You can specify if the report will aggregate data or not. Now, by default, I believe all reports are aggregated. So that means that the student, if they have multiple records at different site locations, because perhaps they are attending classes at different site locations, the online system will aggregate their data combined to output those results. You can specify if the report will include subsites or not, and then there is the generate button. This is how you produce or output your filtered results. There is a saved parameter set, and we don't have time to get into that, folks. Save schema, similar to customizing your listers. You can also customize saving the schema, for example, for this specific report. Carlos, are you? Yes, you are here. You had asked for grade level equivalency. That's a great schema to save, and I'll demonstrate saving the schema for that specific purpose. And then there's also design mode, and you can actually design your report as well. Now, let's take a closer look at the general settings sections. We talked about customizing the title, the program years. Let's see, but let's go down into, we actually talked about the date ranges, so I kind of combined my discussion on introducing these sections. Let's go now to output layout parameters. I would recommend just keeping the output layout parameters as is. Folks, basically I would keep the reports as generic as possible and generate those reports to become familiar with just the process of identifying the population for which you want to include in this generated reporting session. And then once you become comfortable in simply generating the report, then perhaps go back in and customize it. Now in this particular report, there's not much I would do to the report sort order, so I'm going to not include that. All reports include the criteria information, so everything contained on the general settings page, as well as the population selected, that will produce one additional page to every reporting session that tells you all the criteria that went into generating that report. You can specify the color of your report. You can specify the print order, such as printing the ID of your agency and then the name, or the ID alone, or only your agency name, or name and then ID. In other reports, you also have options for student names as well, and I'll try to get to that report in the last few minutes I have here. You can change the report orientation or page orientation. When the student's name is displayed, you can specify how the student's name displays. And for Carlos, I'm going to check this here for grade level equivalency. This is an optional setting. And let's say that that's how I always want these reports on my TOPS Pro Enterprise client to output the data. So in that case, I would go ahead and edit the schema, and I may change it to maybe grade level equivalency, and save that. So I'm always retaining the default, but I also have the option to select grade level equivalency for my customized report. Now that's all the customization I'm going to do on this report, and simply generate this report. And as mentioned, this is my favorite report. It's a great report. Whoops! Oh goodness gracious. Martha, I thought my colleague is here seated with me. Let's see. She had, because we selected Erica, and these are the tests specifically associated with Erica. Let's see what I might have, did I specify? Let's see. Let's go to, folks, I thought I picked out a good example here. My apologies. Let me just quickly go to Erica. It may very well be that I picked a student who fulfilled my criteria of having a reading and math assessment, but it's possible that she's simply missing a program enrollment. Let's see here. No, she had, oh, left program here. Huh. Well, let's see. Let's take that off of Erica there. I apologize, folks. I thought I picked a good example. Let's do can't remember what the ABE class is here. North Campus, ABE Class 1. Okay, so let's go to North Campus here. Okay, we have these students here. Let's, for sake of time, folks, I'm just going to simply generate and hope this generates quickly. My apologies for the snafu. Again, we have a sample of this report on the CASAS website. This provides a summary of the students' most current tests. Now I'm going to unpin the navigator. Notice the navigator by default is pinned, and I'm going to unpin it to increase the screen display. I want to navigate, see if I can navigate to a student who has 2 tests here. Okay, here we go. Let's Jimmy Jones. Okay, so Jimmy Jones has a reading and math assessment. These are the dates of his assessments. The CASAS scaled scores corresponding NRS educational functioning levels, the levels of the CASAS forms, the total number of items presented to the student during testing, how many the student answered correctly, how many they attempted. Here is the grade level equivalency. Now, each modality is coded to CASAS competencies and content standards. So for both modalities, reading and math, you see here, and the N represents the number of times that competencies within consumer economics was presented to the student during testing. And so this is a great way to quickly identify areas of greatest need in a categorical sense, both in competencies as well as in content standards that you see here for both modalities. Now, there's also a task legend here to show you how test items were displayed to the student. So this is a good way also to pick up on if students, let's say they know the information about or they know information, but in the way the information is displayed, say in a chart, it's difficult for them to understand how to read charts or maps or graphs or something like that. So this is interesting to know how those test items were displayed to the student. Now, because one of the test results is not 236 and above, CASAS scale score of 236 and above. 236 and above represents adult secondary education. Let's see if we can find a student who has 236 and above here. Let's see, let me go back to the very beginning. Where I'm getting at, folks, is that the GED predictor will display for students who have a scaled score of 236 and above, and I don't seem to find one here. Let me just quickly pop over to this sample report. Okay, this is on John Morris. This GED predictor, we are currently undertaking a study with the new GED as well as HiSET to between those assessments and CASAS to reconfigure our GED predictor. Now, this GED predictor is accurate enough to use now with the new GED. So as some of you may be familiar, the older GED was broken out into 5 sections, and the difference is that the writing now has been folded in to the language arts. Okay, and I'm not sure if the categories are still identical, but this is a great way to see how close that student is to taking the or attempting the subsections of the GED. Now, as you saw here, this is just a summary of the student's test results. Let's do one more report. Test results that is popular, and this is a great report you can feel comfortable in giving directly to the student. And for sake of time, I think I'm just going to do one campus. And this report, though, you may want to set it to the to alphabetize it, where the student print option is alphabetized by name first, and it actually is here. So I think our team code has our programmers have reconfigured that, but you can specify, you don't have to include ID, you can just simply include the name, okay? There are other options here. If you display the name, you can dictate how the name displays. Right now we're opting to display it by last name first. Okay, you can do it by class enrollment and specify the class over here. Such as we're just going to generate these for the ABE class as an example. So you saw here in the individual skills profile report a summary of the student's test result. Now, this student I think is might be included in this report here. You can preview the students that are going to be included by the selection that you've made in the navigator. Plus, I've identified this site here that you can see there are 400 students. That's quite a lot, so I think that's the entire program year. The students listed here, here we have Rupert Bork. I'll just use him as an example. Rupert Bork will be included in this reporting session, and then you see Rupert Bork's summary of his reading test results here. So let's take a look over here, and let's pop over here. So now these are, let's see, let's go, what if I can find Rupert? Okay, here we go. Great. So here are details about those tests that Rupert had taken. The header identifies the class in which he is enrolled, the teacher in the class, the form, the student, the test date, raw score, scaled score, and this is specific for his Form 11R, which is, well, here is 12R. So we didn't specify. Here's 12R. We didn't specify the date range. This provides the details item by item. Position is the test item, whether he answered correctly or not, yes or no, the coded competency to this test item, the task area in which that item was presented, and then the competency description describing this particular test item. So this is the provide you the details. This report helps the student readily see the areas in which they need targeted instruction. The instructors can use this report as well, or instructors can generate a summary performance summary report, and let's see, I'll just go in here real quick. Let's just do, let's pick that particular class, for example, here. And an example of adjusting the sort order, in this case the specific page sort order, I take correct and move it up, so that when I generate this, the competencies least met by the group of students who have an active enrollment in my class brings those competencies to the top of the report. So it takes out the time that I would otherwise spend. Now, keep in mind, folks, I did not specify a date range, but this report is typically generated when just right after you've held a post-test session, a pre-test session or a post-test session, so that the instructor can target instruction accordingly. So I'll just use this one as an example. This is a life skills level A math. Position is out of order intentionally because I pre-sorted this by the number correct. So as you can see here, now this isn't a good example. There's only 2 students on this one, but most of these reports will have more students to where you will see that these 2 students specifically, both of them answered these 2 items incorrectly, whereas it was about 50-50 here, and then 100% on these items. But I hope you get the idea here that it helps the instructor target the areas of greatest need for a group of students. This report looks very similar to the individual skills profile report that you saw a moment ago, which is this one right here. Okay, but it is in a percentage. The boldface competencies, this is the primary competency for which this test item was designed, and the non-boldface competency descriptions and numbers are supporting. They provided details about this particular test item. Folks, again, I have kept you 10 minutes over time. My apologies for that. But these are the two most popular reports, the individual skills profile report and the competency performance report by individual student or by a class. Okay, and I'm going to leave it there with the exception just to say that if I want to print this report, of course I can. I can print the entire report and it will print out. I can export this entire, well, it's a reporting session to be specific. I can export the entire reporting session as a PDF, that's the default setting, or as a Word document, or onto an Excel spreadsheet, or even a CSV file. Okay. And if or I can keep the reporting session. Okay. And the same holds true about the individual skills profile report that was generated or the individual competency performance report. So you can keep the reporting session to come back later, and we're going to pick up on that concept when we return tomorrow for the extended workshop on generating reports. There's a lot more to all of this, folks, and I don't want to spoil it for you. I want to keep the suspense, and so I'm actually going to end this here by simply clearing my slate. I'm going to close all pages. And the recommendation when you are exiting Enterprise is to use the TE icon to disconnect from the CASAS hosted server and then exit the application. And with that, folks, we are ending today's workshop. Does anyone have any questions about the general setup for generating basic reports? Susan, you have a question. Go ahead. Your mic is muted, or you can type in the chat box. Okay, well, Susan, if you have a question, don't hesitate to email me on that. I see that your hand is raised. So, folks, for that matter, anyone, if you have any questions that you think about after the fact, DJ, I see your hand is raised also. I have a moment if you'd like to ask a question. Okay, folks, I think that's it. We're going to end today's workshop, and I hope to see you all back for tomorrow's extended session on generating reports. That will include drill down functionality, saving reports, retrieving previously saved reports, and we also we didn't introduce a reports manager and setting your favorite reports and so forth. So stay tuned for more to come. It's my pleasure to work with you, and have a great day.